What's up, everybody, and welcome to Driving the Line, and happy Friday. No, I'm not Coach. I'm a better-looking Coach. Coach isn't here. He's doing the Arnold Palmer Classic, so I'm stepping in for him. I am Daniel Greer, and we have a fun show for you today. You don't want to miss it. Well, before we get into the show, let's go ahead and take a look back at yesterday and how the guys did. And yeah, it was a ho-hum day. It wasn't a great day, but if you look at Z-Man coming in and hosting and going a 2-0, shout out to you, Z-Man, and a good day off for you. But let's look at these soccer picks as well. You know what? It is what it is. There are bad days, but you know what? Bad days don't last, because you know what it is now? It's the weekend, and we have our guy who is the college baseball dude. He is Allan Bell. Let's go ahead and bring in the good-looking one himself, that big old smile. Give it to me, AB. What's up, man?
Greer, what's up, bro? All right, first off, man, appreciate you hosting, doing a great job already. Zad's crushed it, as you mentioned, not only hosting, hitting with the picks as well, because, look, it wasn't great. It was bad. Like, let's just be honest with you. But, dude, so we've got Memphis and Nashville right here. We got Tennessee boys coming at you left and right.
Yep, I have my my Memphis Pillars here, my Zebo, and then Penny Hardaway, the pillars of Memphis basketball. And so, yeah, represent the state of Tennessee for sure. It's been awesome. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we have upcoming, because we do have Shoot Your Shot for Monday. So anything else that you want to hit on and promo before we move into the show?
Yeah, so, everybody joining the crew on the premium side, as you mentioned, we do have Shoot Your Shot coming up Monday. This will be the third version. Our man, Robbie Hockey, defending his title. Everybody is going to have a ton of fun, as we have on the first two. Also, some new shows that we will have coming on the premium side. We will have some lives during championship weekend, March Madness, all of that. Not to mention the Ombudsman is coming soon as well. What that is essentially just a Q&A, right? Like discussing where the show is, what you like, what you want to see more of, etc. Like we said, this show is all about you and what you want. So it's going to give you a premium access play to really design the show, man. So tons of fun stuff.
That's the big thing about this show. It's becoming the crew show. It's always been about the crew, and that's what's awesome about that. But don't forget, if you want to be a part of the crew, you have to send in your information. You have to send in your video to drivingtheline@gmail.com. Do not forget to do that. Put everything in there by Sunday. Sunday is the last day, because if not, you're going to miss out, and you're going to be hoping you did. Just like you want to go on Survivor.
No, you're right. And look, real quick. All right, so first up, our man Austin, dude, in Jackson. All right, right there at the Casey Jones, ready to go. Austin, what's up there, man? And our boy Nick. And I meant to hit on this yesterday, and I didn't. Mississippi as well, man. Dude, we have this whole Delta covered. It's fantastic. All right, so I've already interrupted you. You see what you're great to deal with now.
Absolutely. No, we're great. So obviously we've been talking about the crew. So let's go ahead and look at what the crew has for today's plays.
Yep. So 2 college baseball plays and 2 from the NBA. So first off, Dayton -7.5, as well as San Diego State -7.5. And then going to the NBA, the Bucks against the Lakers. You taking Milwaukee -1.5, the Lakers +1.5. Those 4 options are in the chat now in the poll. Vote, and we will update at the end of the show. And TJ says right there, talking about college baseball from yesterday, only a couple games. Dude, hey, you hit it, man. Well done on that one. You boys took care of business on both that you had. What did you have? Oregon State and UC Irvine. Both those came through. So, TJ, well done, bro.
Yep. Shout out to you, TJ. But also that game last night, I know we talked about the NBA game. That was one. I think it was one of the cruise plays. That was an exceptional game from the Celtics and the Nuggets. If everybody stayed up to watch that, if you didn't, you missed out. But make sure you hit that like button as we get into the show. But you know what time it is? It's time for the picks. All right, we had AB, but we have another good-looking guy. Look at the beard, the flow. What's up, Supi?
How you doing, Daniel? AB. Guys, I'm wearing the Flexi Fit hat. we should have coordinated a little better. This looks a little weird now, but
I'll tell you what. Here,
Friday.
we could even the distribution. There you go.
All right, there you go. I feel a little better now. We got a little bit of cognizance here. Let's do it. It's Friday. Free Fry Friday, as I mentioned on my Twitter. Doesn't matter if your picks are bad. McDonald's still gives you free fries today.
Free Fry Friday? I had no idea.
No, yeah, go on their app.
Are you sure?
I'm locked in. I'm always locked in. Come on, fast food. I'm locked in. Look at you think someone who looks like this isn't locked in on the fast food apps? Come on.
I like it. Never trust a skinny guy talking about food. So let's go ahead and talk about your picks, another picks that we're going to lock in today. Go ahead and give them to me, Supi.
So I'm going to start. Let's go NHL. I'm going with the Jets on the money line. Connor Hellebuyck. He is the clear Vezina Trophy winner at 25-1, going against the Kraken. Kraken, another great defense, but they're 26 in goals expected per 60. Jets, number 1 defense in the league. Seattle's actually 4th. So if you want to go to that under 5.5, you could, but I still like the Jets on the money line. Wings, Coyotes over 6.5. Connor Ingram has actually regressed a little bit. 0-7-2, 3.66 goals allowed, and an 8.72 save percentage over his last 9. And the Red Wings are 6th in goals. They're 21st in goals allowed. Wings have hit 6 of their last 10 overs. Coyotes have done it 4 straight. And let's go to the court. Timberwolves, Cavs. No Karl Anthony Towns, no Donovan Mitchell, no Evan Mobley, no Max Strus. Both are top 3 defense teams. And this is going to be an old school NBA matchup. It's a 209 over-under. But I think we're going to see both teams hit the 90s in this one.
So does that scare you? Because that 209 is so low.
So low. I know.
If it was both teams that were healthy, you know what? Yeah, that scares me.
Okay.
But you just don't have the player. And again, this is still 2 top 3 defenses, 2 of the best defensive teams in the league. I'm confident in this one. We're going to see 90s from both of them. Maybe even just the high 80s from one of them.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, let me say this. I feel you on that. Like, okay, so yesterday on the premium side, the exclusive, I had played Bucknell and American, the over of 128.5. And going off of what you're saying of just what is the word that I'm looking for? Like, just the history of it, looking at those 2 matchups, like they were consistent. Like all 3 now when they played, we're all in the mid to high 130s. So I say that to say what you're saying on the opposite side, when you see that, and even though it's a low number, it's low for a reason.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel you on that one, man. Like the history of it, like I'm just
going to look for Darius Garland, Anthony Edwards. They're going to shoot from the perimeter. You got Jaron Allen and Rudy Gobert in the post. They are going to be fighting for boards. I think those 2 are going to be fighting for defensive boards, a lot of defensive boards, a lot of change possessions. They're both a very slow-paced teams.
Right.
207. We have 207 here. I've seen it at 209. Hope if you can find that 209 again. Yeah, it's again. If they were healthy teams,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's crazy. The fact that it's
yell
that
at me if
low,
I get it wrong.
Yeah, listen, that low, it's almost like, hey, you have to just lean into it, because that being that low just screams bet the over, because in the NBA now, nobody scores under 210. And so that's listen, it's a great play. Just like the McDonald's French fries, what everybody's talking about, the gift that keeps on giving is Howie Schwab. He's not here today, but he has 3 plays for us, and that is Ohio at -2.5. You have to hit these plays because it's Howie coming from afar. And then San Diego State -7.5. And then we finish with Drake -13.5. Any of those stick out to you guys that you might like, love, or even hate? But it's going to be hard to hate against Howie.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, dude, like, first off, it's the Schwab. Like, I don't make a business of going against my man here. I really do like that San Diego State -7.5. I rock with that one. Not that I don't rock with the other 2, but yeah, dude, I like that San Diego State play.
They're nice. Very, very much so. So shout out to Howie Schwab, but always Howie's homies with the crew. They're always here. But let's go ahead and get to my plays before we move on to UAB. And I'm going to play a little bit of a bias play, but I got some sense on this one, and that is Vince Williams. If you don't know who he is, he's kind of Vince the Menace is what we call him in Memphis, but over 5.5 assists. And the reason is he's hit this 9 of the last 12 games overall. But the big key factor is Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be playing, which is actually one of the better players for the Grizzlies. Not many people know many Grizzlies players these days, but Jaren Jackson Jr. is known, and because he's on the court, it opens up the court much more. And so over 5.5 assists for him right there, minus 130. I had this play a little behind the scenes. I hit these all last night. Most of these moved. Clint Capella moved from 9.5 points to 10.5 points. I still love this at 13. I think he goes off. I think he does score. If you look at the big men against the Grizzlies, anybody with athleticism, anybody with some size, they continue to dominate, especially around the rim. At minus 15 for 10.5 points, I like that. Then CJ McCollum, dude, has been flamethrower. And so over 2.5 threes at minus 128. I love him and what he does, but also he continues to fill it up. If you look at him, 9 of the last 11 games, he's hit 3 or more three-pointers. He's averaging 3.8 three-pointers against Philly, and Philly is not the same Philly. And so if you're looking at this game, I had this at minus 6.5 for the Pelicans over the Sixers, and that is now moved all the way up to minus 8.5, minus 9 some places. So that number is on the move. But for sure, I think that's going to be a good game. It's going to be an open game tonight because nobody on Philly really has much of a chance except for Oubre. But you know who does have a chance is UAB with your college baseball plays, and it's Friday. So go ahead and give them to us.
Hey, you know what? We're just trying to be the Jaren Jackson Jr. of college baseball here. All right, look, man, this is going to be a hard weekend. Let me just go ahead and say that. Between what the books are offering, because that's one thing that we do have to deal with, is that you could look at every college baseball game on the schedule for tonight, for Saturday, for Sunday. The books don't offer all of them. And the ones that they do, you see favorites that are minus 650, minus 700, minus 800. So that, again, limits what you can play at reasonable juice, right? So we have 2 plays here. We're going to go Coastal Carolina money line, North Carolina money line, put those 2 together at plus 100. I am fascinated with this Pittsburgh, North Carolina series. North Carolina should handle their business, but Pittsburgh is a quietly excellent, good baseball team. That being said, give me the Tar Heels here. I want to play these 2 plus 100. Then second, UC Santa Barbara money line, East Carolina money line plus 105. East Carolina on the road against Liberty, who is an all right baseball team. I think they're 5-7 is what their record is right now, but they're a better team than that one today, or not today. They're a better team than what their record shows, and especially playing on the road. It's going to be a little tough. That's why we're getting these prices there. But yeah, UC Santa Barbara, East Carolina, money line, plus 105. And then everybody else, like when you look at the board today, Texas Tech is the highest scoring team in college baseball. They're averaging 11 plus runs per game. Texas, a top 25 team, has played the most difficult schedule all year long. Last week, they played against Texas A&M, who's one of the best teams in college baseball. Now they've got Texas Tech, and Texas is dying for a win out here. And then that might not even be the biggest series. We have number 12 Duke against number 1 Wake Forest in Winston-Salem here, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Cannot wait for that one as well. Quite frankly, Duke is playing better than Wake Forest is. But Wake Forest, the number 1 team in the country for a reason, man. It's going to be great. There are a lot of other good games out there too. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun weekend. It's gonna be tough. We're gonna have to grind this one.
It's definitely gonna be tough. That matchup, top 15 matchup between Duke and Wake Forest, is going to be amazing. Because there's so much talent on both sides. But the fact that Duke is playing so well coming into this matchup against Wake Forest, who's just kind of been, just kind of a ho hum, just kind of easy for this. I'm expecting that to be good. But Jordan wants to know. Stanford, it's only minus 166.
So Stanford, obviously banned from the show. We're done with them. That being said, man, they shouldn't win today. But you know what? We've said that before. But they should win. I mean, they should handle their business. They should take 2 of 3 this weekend, but no, they're banned. Like we have to stick to it. Absolutely. Also, Tennessee is hosting Illinois this weekend. Vanderbilt is hosting Illinois State. Those two could be good if you could get the price right. I think Tennessee is like minus 620, something like that. And then lastly, we spoke about it yesterday. Gonzaga played its first home game all season long. Got the dub. They were 1-9, now 2-9. So there you go, Gonzaga. They're a much better team than their record shows as well. Whoever did their schedule needs to be fired, I assure you.
I don't know if y'all see this, but I do. On Friday, AB becomes a different person. He listen, it's college baseball, AB, and so shout out to you for those plays. Also, shout out to Big Cheesy. Me and him both have Clint Capella over 10.5 points, as he says, synergy. All right, let's go ahead and get in our other two guys. We're going to send y'all out of here, but we're bringing in Charles and Jacob because we have so much soccer to hit on. So, guys, welcome. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to share something that I shared before the show, and I'm going to reveal it now, but I've made up a tag team nickname for both of you. So, Jake, I'm going to ask you, do you like the Bayou Assassin?
The Bayou Assassin? Yeah, I could rock with that. You know, I had made a comment the other day that Charles, it's that Southern accent with the soccer. It's just a different kind of breed when he drops it. So I'd love to be a part of that. So yeah, I'll take it.
I got to give a little bit to Charles with the Bayou, and then you're the assassin. I got to show that to you. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the plays. But as we always do, we're going to take it a little bit down for Charles because lower the lights, lower the music, and let's go ahead and listen to Charles talk about a little bit of soccer.
You know, that's right, Daniel. We're going to the EPL on Saturday, Arsenal and Brentford. We kick off the weekend card with the hottest team in the Premier League, and they're in a London derby. Arsenal starts match day 28, having scored 6 goals on Monday. Now they return to the Emirates, where they average 2.6 team goals on their home patch. The Gunners have also scored at least 3 goals in 6 of their last 7 league games, and over 3.5 total goals is cashed in 5 straight. Brentford, they arrive in North London fully equipped to hit the back of the net during their travels. The Bees have scored at least 2 team goals in 4 of their last 5 matches in all competitions on the road and average 1.2 team goals away from home. We've seen fast starts in Arsenal matches, and I anticipate the same script in this matchup. So I'm backing the over 1.25 first half goals. That way, if it's only 1, you get half your wager back. Over 3.25 full-time goals. That way, if it lands on 3, you get half your wager back as well. And the both teams are scoring over 2.5, as I do see Brentford getting at least 1 in this contest.
Charles, I like how you're attacking these because you're a little bit from each side. Honestly, it's kind of like covering your bases, but it's also like the team mom says, you sip your tea and enjoy these smooth picks from Charles. And so shout out to you, Charles. But Jacob, let's go ahead and get into yours real quick.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all over Napoli. Napoli is finally starting to play like the team they should be. Ever since their 3rd coach of the year has taken over, Francesco Calzona, they are 2-0-2, taking on a Torino team who has won just 1 of their last 8. Half of those were to 0. That means they have not scored in half of their losses. Torino did beat Napoli back in January, but Napoli was on a bad run at the time. So I think Napoli has revenge on their mind here. Torino has not won at Napoli since 2009, and Napoli has seen over 1.5 at 4 of their last 6 home games, and they are 11-3 at home, have seen 2+ goals. So I think the price, even though it's at minus 157, a little bit juicy, I really think we see 2 goals here, and I think that is a really mispriced price for the 2. So I love Napoli to get a win, and I love a lot of goals in this game. So those are going to be my 2 Napoli. And then I'm going to Belgium Premier League. I'm taking Mechelen, team total over 1.5 goals. They've won 4 out of the last 5. All of those have seen them hit over 1.5. They're taking on a Westerlo team who has allowed over 1.5 goals on the road in 4 out of the last 5 and 7 out of the last 10. Westerlo has allowed a goal to their opponent in 12 out of their 13 games on the road, and they have only won 2 road games all year. This Mechelen team is looking to play tough. They are at home, and I think they will definitely score at least 2 goals. And then lastly, I really love this Stuttgart play. It is one of my favorite plays in a long time, and I don't usually say that often, but they are taking on a poor Union Berlin team. Stuttgart is on a great run of form right now. Currently 5-7, scored 2+ goals in home in 10 out of their 12 home games. Stuttgart won their last 2 versus Union. Stuttgart 9-1-1 at home, have scored over 1.5 in 10 out of 11 of those. And every Stuttgart win at home has seen them cash this play. So every time Stuttgart wins at home, it is always them winning and over 1.5 goals. I really think Union Berlin, who is not good on the road, is going to really struggle here. And I love this Stuttgart play.
On that play right there, is that one Sunday, correct? Or is that today?
That's today.
Okay.
Yep.
So all your plays are from for I guess today, and then we'll go back over to Charles for Sunday. So all your plays are for Friday, correct?
Yeah. If you check out the detail exclusive, I have Saturday plays there, but just for today's show, these are all for today.
Yep. So if you are a member of the crew, you're going to get his Saturday plays and on through the weekend for sure. But let's go ahead and hit back to Charles, who gave us his Saturday plays. Let's hear some Sunday plays now.
Yeah, now we have the Aston Villa versus Tottenham. Sunday kicks off with one of the best overall matches of the weekend, in my opinion. Aston Villa comes in off that dreadful performance in the Europa Conference, but Villa is riding a 3-match unbeaten streak in the league play and have only lost twice in 13 home EPL events. The Villains also averaged 2.7 team goals at home, with 4 of their last 5 meetings at Villa Park having produced 4 or more total goals. Tottenham will certainly want to take advantage of Villa on short rest. Although Spurs have only won 5 of their 12 road games away from home, their offense does travel well, averaging 2.2 team goals away from the Hotspur Stadium. This is another match. Well, I see. I'll just stay neutral on this one and just root for goals. So we're going to start early and often. So I'm going to take the over 1.5 first half goals. Both teams to score in the first half, because this one has 1-1 written all over it. Over 3.5 full-time goals, as I think it has a 2-2 as well. And if this is offered at your book, both teams to score in both halves. Like I said, I can see 1-1 in the first half, and then 2-2. Each team scoring in the second half as well. This one has goals written all over it. Like I said, one of my favorite of the weekend. So really going to pound this one for Sunday's match.
Yeah, if you listen to that one for Charles, that last one, plus 600, it's worth a sprinkle, especially if he's giving you all of that knowledge. These dudes continue to crush it. But, Jake, I'm going to go back to you real quick. Paul wants to know, Torino and Napoli over 2.25 at minus 105.
Yeah, the reason I took it at 2 is I like to offer a little push protection when I give out plays to like a large group of people, because nothing's worse than losing and at 2, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So if you get a push, you get your money back. So that's why I'm okay paying. I look at juice as a little bit of tax for the push protection. So that's why I take that. So I'm okay to bet 150 to win 100 kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, that's why these guys are the best. They continue to be the best, but make sure you follow them. Also on Pick Management with Jacob and Charles, they have a show. It's an MLS show. I believe they're recording this right after this show. So make sure you tune into that. Show some love over there to Jacob and Charles. But listen, you guys have been awesome. We're going to send you out of here because you know what time it is. It's kazoo time. Let's educate and entertain. All right, we have the kazoo. That's been a favorite, AB. Everybody loves it now.
Dude, the kazoo is the best way to go. And it's funny how it came about, because the original song that we played one time, I had a deal with the composer of it, and then he turned on me and just came at me for money out of a text message at like 11 o'clock at night. I was like, all right, nope, you're done. So we got rid of that. Also, I wanted to say one thing real quick in regards to college baseball for this weekend. Understand that, we always speak about that it's about Friday, Saturday, and Sunday collective, ending with a profit. I say all that to say this. This is going to be a reactionary weekend. We haven't really had one yet in full, but it's going to be that this weekend. And what I mean is watch the games and scores that we see tonight. Tomorrow, you're going to see a ton of plays based off of what we see an aces throwing on Friday. And then we get to number 2s and number 3s. We're going to analyze bullpen usage tonight and tomorrow for Sunday. It is a very ping pong sport, especially when you have ranked teams playing against each other. So you only see 2 plays on the board today. Don't worry. There's going to be a ton more, but we're going to have to do our work after seeing game 1 and then game 2 going into the next one's game 3 on Sunday. So just wanted to say that don't worry, it's a tough weekend, but we're going to get our asses in gear and get this thing going. We just need to see a game 1, and then we can properly move from there.
For sure. But as John Cave said in the comments, we trust you, AB. We trust you. And AB, we trust. Let's get to a little bit of educate and entertain. We're going to talk about an injury that just happened with Karl Anthony Towns. And Supi, I'm going to come to you on that one because I think this is big for the NBA just in general, for the simple fact that he is one of the one of the better players on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have been a really good team in the NBA. What are your thoughts on how does that help hurt them as they go down the stretch and then possibly into the playoffs where he's expected to be back?
I think it definitely hurts them right now in the near future. They hold that number 1 spot, but very thin. It's only a half a game, and the Thunder they're looking like a great team this year.
Yeah.
The thing about Karl Anthony Towns is he's a two-way player. He goes to the wing, he can go to the post. Of course, they have Rudy Gobert in the paint, which is going to help, but nobody really has sort of that dynamic shooting ability like Towns does. And I'm sort of thinking this as the way of Joel Embiid is out for the Sixers. You've seen how that's gone down without Embiid in the lineup, and I feel like that could be the same thing with Towns out of the lineup. Anthony Edwards is playing incredible right now. He looked great at the start of the season, was an early MVP favorite. He kind of dissipated a little bit, but he's really picking back up. He needs to come through. And Nas Diaz, who is going to get more minutes now because of Towns being out, great off the bench. 12 points per game on only 23 minutes. He's going to get a little more time. If he could come through, they just kind of need to tread water. Just avoid the play-in, which I think they'll do. Just kind of tread water, try to keep that at least top 2, top 3. And if they get Towns back in the playoffs, great. Because if they don't, the West is incredible. It's absolutely tough. And I don't think they can make it past the first round. Maybe the first round, but definitely not the second round without Towns.
All right, I'm going to go on the opposite side of that. And this is probably not what everybody thinks, but I think that this team is good, but I think this is going to make them better for the short term, for the simple fact that Anthony Edwards is that dude. Anthony Edwards is amazing, and he's shown to be amazing. But what we're going to see is an emergence even more, just kind of a stepping stone for Anthony Edwards, because now you have more of a real style of offense, because you kind of have Cat out of the way, who's kind of a tweener in a sense. He can go into the post, he can kind of step out, which helps you. But if you already have a guy that can be in the post and already is clogging up a lot of that room, well, it actually opens up a little bit more because you don't have that tweener going in and out, and you really don't know how to play with him. I think you see Anthony Edwards take a step in the right direction. Mike Conley is going to continue to, as we call in Memphis, him the conductor. He's going to conduct that offense, and then you're going to see this offense start to look better. But what's going to happen is Karl Anthony Towns is going to come back, but it's not going to be good. I think this actually hurts them as we get to the playoffs, because when he gets back, they're going to be, I feel like, playing well in a kind of a new system in a sense. And then Karl Anthony Towns gets back, and it could throw off everything of what they've actually built up over the stretch run. I think is actually the worst possible thing for them, because not saying Karl Anthony Towns is a bad player, I just think that he possibly could screw up some things as we get closer back to the actual playoffs. So, Supi, any retort to that?
I kind of understand what you're saying. They're going to play a little bit more faster. And again, Anthony Edwards, I have loved watching him play this year. The way he's just stepped up. So the thing is, too, is they need every single talent on there, because this isn't like a team that's been to the playoffs a few times, have had a few runs. They had that run a couple years ago, a little bit when they, with the play-in and things like that. So this isn't in a veteran, experienced team. So I think that's why they have to lean more on the talent that they have. And I understand what you're saying, that when Towns comes back, they're going to have to redo a new system. That could be a slow start, especially if it's at the beginning of the playoffs. That's not good. You don't want to learn sort of a new system at that time. But again, having Towns back, one of the best two-way players, again, like you said, he's a tweener. He goes in, he goes out. Just having that sort of in your pocket is great, especially come playoff time, especially with the Western Conference. It just looks great this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to look at some of these lines, guys to target, as Big Cheese is saying, it could be Mike Conley is looking at his PRA. But one guy that we're targeting, and everybody else seems to be targeting as well, it's Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Listen, AB, that fight kind of came up, and y'all talked about it yesterday. And now we're seeing both sides of the aisle talking a little bit about it, whether people absolutely love it, people hate it. But why is it so polarizing right now, AB?
Well, he's the biggest name in the sport, which I don't think is good for the sport, right? Like, we're going to talk about that in a second. But here's the problem. The biggest name and the biggest draw is in fights that don't matter. And that can't be good for boxing. Now, we spoke yesterday about the Netflix deal and Amazon and, that it's going to open up more people to watch. But I am less than a casual boxing, viewer, right? I don't care. Like, I don't care about Jake Paul, nothing about it. Like, I'll have it on, like the Mike Tyson fight, or like, go watch it with some buddies, whatever, maybe. But I just don't care. And like, that's the question that is going to be asked really across the country. And what Netflix is betting on is, does the casual viewer care? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just, I don't know that it's good for the sport, because we're talking only about his fights, and his fights don't matter. So,
yeah. Well, so is it a double-edged sword to some fact that as people are talking is, if Mike Tyson, who is a real professional, even though he's of age, if he loses, it's a fix, right? Because they're not expecting him to lose. But still, Jake Paul is actually much younger, and he's also actually within boxing. He's in real fights right now. His stamina should be much higher due to his age, but also just from his past fights. Like, is the fix in, AB? Do you think that people would scream it's a fix if for some reason Mike Tyson did lose this?
Oh, let me say this. You bring up an excellent point on that. Number one, and I've said this for anybody who's watched, our shows for the last 3.5 years. I've said it forever. Don't bet on boxing. Don't don't bet on boxing. Do not do it. I'm not going to use that word, but don't bet on it, because especially with these, it's always about getting another one, right? And you just see weird decisions that get made. Like, I don't think that Jake Paul's going to get knocked out, because that starts to kill the golden goose. I won't use the word. Yeah, I won't use the word, but do not bet. Do not bet on this.
As Matty Ice says, AB's got the script. Supi, listen, I don't think any of us are huge boxing fans, but Supi, I know that you're seeing this. Even though you're not a huge boxing fan, are you still watching it because it's on Netflix?
Of course.
Right. You have to.
But the thing is, too, is it a fix? Probably. I think I'm going to believe Logan Paul's matchup at WrestleMania more than I'm going to believe this Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. and the thing is, we're talking about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson coming up in July, when tonight, this weekend, is Anthony Joshua fighting a former actual heavyweight champion of recent. And I'm one of those, I'm a boxing casual now, but growing up, I was a boxing fan. My dad used to love putting me in front of the TV, and we watched those fights with Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, and Evander Holyfield. And we just don't have those champions anymore. And we could do a whole show on why boxing has died. It's because there's really no unified titles and things like that. But again, the thing that because we're talking about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson and not an actual like fight between two heavyweights going on this weekend, just kind of shows that boxing now is just more of a sideshow, more than anything else.
And to bring up that point, the fact that Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou are actually fighting today in Saudi Arabia, that just shows to the fact that, was it, I guess you said Jake Paul, but is it Jake Paul or Logan Paul fighting today or against Tyson? Which one is it?
Logan Paul, he's the WWE United States champion.
So it's Jake Paul. Okay.
I'm more interested in his match at WrestleMania than I am in this Jake Paul fight.
Now, I do have to say this. Everything that I just laid out about, like, that's about the sport. I cannot hate on either of the Paul brothers and their promotional abilities to draw, both in fighting, whatever you want to call it, and then Logan Paul in WWE. I respect it. Like, they're the best in the game. Yeah. Everyone in both of those can learn from these guys because they're doing it better than anyone else, right? Yeah. So I don't want to take away from that at all. Like, that should be commended for sure. And Elaine in the chat said it best. And I thought about this too. For Jake Paul, it would almost be, and this is kind of like when you're drawing out, like, how you're going to make money long-term over this, like just having a series on Netflix of, can somebody knock Jake Paul's ass out? Right. I would call it that. And I would literally just line them up left and right and see who could do it. I would watch that. And I think that a lot of people would watch it just wanting to see him get knocked out. It's almost kind of like the Floyd Mayweather thing towards the end of, it's like, okay, well, the guy doesn't fight, whatever. Yeah. Like, I think that would draw money and that would draw viewership.
But so overall, and we'll end on this, is it bad for boxing due to Jake Paul being the real big name over the big fight that's actually happening today, which is a real professional fight, with Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou? Is it really bad, AB, that they're overshadowing it? But also on the other side of it, that's not anything to knock on Jake Paul. Like, he's made a name for himself. These other guys in the sport needs to stand up. They need to figure out how to emerge themselves over this. And so do you see the big thing about it being just kind of Jake Paul being the name, and that's what's really hurting boxing right now?
Yeah, like, I don't think that it's good for the sport at all. Like, it would be like if we had, 3 different Major League Baseball leagues, and then like one was like Rock and Jock, and that was the one that got all the attention. It wouldn't be good for Major League Baseball. And again, I don't blame Jake Paul at all. That man everyone else should be paying attention to it. I think that if you look at boxing, and you look at say WWE, and you say and UFC doesn't really do the promo stuff unless it's like the weigh-in, right? Like, there's always the fight, that's staged, obviously, but they are clearly the most believable because you could go in and get all your legs broken, right? I don't think that Jake Paul is good for the sport of boxing, but also the sport of boxing isn't helping at all. Like, they're not doing anything. So I think that they need to feed off of Jake Paul. I blame the state of boxing more than I blame Jake Paul.
Yeah. That's where I stand too as well, is you kind of have to blame boxing. They have to figure it out. If somebody that isn't even a real boxer is coming in and taking over the sport, that's a real big problem. But all right. So if you love this, hit the like button. Do us a favor. It's free. It's easy. You can join, but also you can become a member. There's a join button down there. Just go ahead and hit that, and you can be a part of the crew. I promise you, it's cheaper than a Starbucks coffee. That's a guarantee. It always will be cheaper than a Starbucks coffee. All right, so if you missed our picks in the very beginning of the show, this is what we call the whip around. Let's go ahead and give you more picks. All right, out of the library into the studio. Charles, we're going to start off with you because you have a full notes app of plays, and so go ahead and give it to us, Charles.
All right, Debo, I'm going to go with the EPL, Arsenal, Brentford, Over 1.25 first half, over 3.25 full-time, and then both teams to score and over 2.5 full-time goals. Sunday, Aston Villa, Tottenham, over 1.5 first half goals to both teams to score in first half, over 3.5 full-time goals, and if offered, the both teams to score in both halves.
All right, Jacob, go ahead and finish that one.
Yeah, Napoli money line, Napoli Torino over 2, Michelin team total over 1.5, and VFB Stuttgart and over 1.5 goals.
Reading is hard, ladies and gentlemen.
Reading is hard.
All right, Supi, we know you have some plays. Let's start us off.
Let's go with the Jets on the money line. I'm going to go with the Red Wings and the Coyotes over 6.5. And then let's go Timberwolves, Cavaliers, a lovely under 207.5 in a real NBA 1990s bout.
That number still scares me. I'm going to go ahead and give Howie Schwab coming in here. Ohio -2.5, San Diego State -7.5, and Drake -13.5 there. In my 3 plays that I have for you out of the NBA, it is Vince Williams over 5.5 assists, Clint Capella over 10.5 points, and CJ McCollum over 2.5 threes. AB, your baseball picks.
Yep, got two-leg money line parlays here. We're going to go Coastal Carolina money line, North Carolina money line at +100. We're also going to go UC Santa Barbara money line and East Carolina money line +105. And Matty Ice in the chat brings it up. Bare knuckle. That is where it's at. I completely agree. If anybody hasn't watched that, dude, there's no hiding in that one whatsoever. It's badass, dude. It's fun.
That is all. Listen, I haven't seen one of those in ages, and so maybe we'll find some on YouTube. Find down the rabbit hole this weekend. Find some bare knuckle fighting. Listen, guys, those are all amazing plays. Thank you for kind of being on the show and giving those. Hopefully, we cash throughout the weekend with Charles, definitely. But don't miss the crew picks because we're going to have a little bit more for tonight, but also over the weekend, especially with Jacob. So you know what time it is. It's time for the closing bell. All right, AB, what have the crew chosen? And did the poll work this time?
The poll did work. Shout out to the crew. First time I've ever seen break YouTube. That's not an easy feat. They got a little, company called Google, funding them there. So that was well done yesterday. But the crew overwhelmingly 40% going with the Bucks -1.5 against the Lakers there. Going to be a good game. It's solid choice. I feel him on that one. 100%. I feel him. Also, last thing that I'll say, and then let you run this thing. You've done a great job, buddy. Well done on that one. Definitely want to say that. The last thing, college baseball, pay attention also to teams. Not that we're in must-win mode,
right?
We're only in week 4. But there are some teams that damn sure need to win. Florida being one of them tonight at home against St. Mary's. They have lost 4 games this season and 3 of them in the last 9 days. They have got to find some consistency. So pay attention to that. Pay attention if Texas loses to Texas Tech tonight. Saturday could be a strong Texas play. Some of these teams, they are going to have to find consistency.
What's your thoughts on a team that's obviously favored and losing on a Friday opener going into the weekend? Are you looking to attack that on Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah. And you see, especially if a game is, I'll give you a perfect example. We have Duke and Wake Forest tonight. Okay. Let's just say Wake Forest wins 12-1, right?
Right.
I'm going right on Duke tomorrow. Okay. Teams generally don't go 12, 11, 13 runs back to back, especially against a good team like that. Now, throw it on the opposite side. If Duke wins tonight, I will hammer on Wake Forest tomorrow because Saturday is such a pivotal day in the weekend series because you do not want you could lose the series on Friday and Saturday, right? And you do not want to start doing that. So, yeah, man, like pay attention not only which team wins, but the score and the way that they win as well. Yeah, pay attention to that. We also have some teams that are undefeated that at some point it scares me. TCU scares me. They're my favorite team to bet on. Everyone knows that. I ride or die with the Horned Frogs, man, but at some point you're going to lose a game, right? So pay attention to those as well.
All right, listen, those are all good tidbits that you're not going to get anywhere else because AB is the absolute man when it comes to college baseball. But make sure you tune in to the plays that are happening over the weekend or the videos that are happening over the weekend because AB will be giving you a lot of good content, the on-demand college baseball specials. And so those are going to be the best, as well as make sure you get your shoot your shot videos in at drivingtheline@gmail.com. Get those in by Sunday. But listen, that's all. We've had a great show, and I'm going to try to do my coach impression. You got your marching orders. Let's take all of this ticket straight to the pay window for our guy Charles down in the Bayou and our Bayou assassin Jacob, to Supi, to AB, and myself, Daniel Greer. Thank you for having me. And as Coach does, as we get out of here, we try to be nice to people, but also what you can do for someone by just saying one kind word for them goes a long way. And as I always end my shows, it's one simple phrase: be nice and tell your friends.